Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issues 3 royal decrees. Fitch Ratings amends the Sultanate of Oman's future outlook to positive and affirms the rating at BB. And a joint Omani-Saudi executive committee is formed to supervise the project of developing the integrated economic zone in Al-Zahira Governorate. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issued 3 royal decrees. Royal Decree number 20/2023 on determining public utility status of the project of building floor protection dam in Wadi Al-Ansab in the Wilaya of Bushehr in the Governorate of Muscat. Article 1 considers the project of building flood protection dam in Wadi Al-Ansab in the Wilaya of Bushehr in the Governorate of Muscat, determined in the attached memorandum and total planning schemes as a public utility project. Article 2 authorizes competent authorities to expropriate through direct implementation of real estates and lands necessary for the project and establishments on it in accordance with provisions of the Public Utility Expropriation Law. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and shall come into effect from the date of its issue. Royal Decree number 21/2023 on determining public utility status of the project of building flood protection dam in Wadi Tahwa in the Wilaya of Al-Kamil wal-Wafi in the Governorate of South Sharqiya. Article 1 considers the project of building flood protection dam in Wadi Tahwa in the Wilaya of Al-Kamil wal-Wafi in the Governorate of South Sharqiya, determined in the attached memorandum and total planning schemes as a public utility project. Article 2 authorizes competent authorities to expropriate through direct implementation of real estates and lands necessary for the project and establishment on it in accordance with provisions of the Public Utility Expropriation Law. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and shall come into effect from the date of its issue. Royal Decree number 22/2023 on determining public utility status of the project of building flood protection dam in Wadi Al-Zahimi in the Wilaya of Liwa in the Governorate of North Batina. Article 1 considers the project of building flood protection dam in Wadi Al-Zahimi in the Wilaya of Liwa in the Governorate of North Batina, determined in the attached memorandum and total planning schemes as a public utility project. Article 2 authorizes competent authorities to expropriate through direct implementation of real estate and lands necessary for the project and establishments on it in accordance with provisions of the Public Utility Expropriation Law. Article 3, this decree shall be published in the Official Gazette and shall come into effect from the date of its issue. Fitch Ratings issued its credit rating report for the Sultanate of Oman, in which it revised its outlook from stable to positive and affirmed the rating at BB. The positive outlook adjustment, according to the agency, reflects the significant decrease in public debt as a percentage of GDP due to the measures taken by the government to control the financial situation, the increase in oil revenues, and the decrease in the public debt rate as a percentage of the GDP. The agency said that the measures taken by the government contributed to containing the volume of public debt, noting that the rate of public debt as a percentage of GDP witnessed a significant decrease from 61% at the end of 2021 to about 40% by the end of 2022, indicating the amendments of its expectations of a decline in public debt to about 37% by the end of 2024, compared to 48% during the same year, according to the agency's expectations in August 2022. The agency expects the government to achieve a fiscal surplus in the state's general budget of about 2.3% and 0.1% as a percentage of GDP in 2023 and 2024 respectively. It also expected a drop in the oil price, partially point from $77 per barrel in 2022 to $67 per barrel in the year 2025, in light of the continued efforts to control current expenditures and implement the measures taken within the medium-term financial plan. The Sultanate of Oman and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia decided to form a joint executive committee to supervise the project to develop integrated economic zone in Al-Zahira Governorate. The committee will carry out a number of tasks, most notably preparing a plan for the development, implementation, and management of the zone project that includes all programs and initiatives and following up their implementation, in addition to following up the establishment of Omani Saudi Company, which will manage and operate the zone. The Civil Aviation Authority issued its third alert of the expected heavy thunder showers over the Governorate of Al-Wusta this evening, which may range between 20 to 50 millimeters, while isolated rains will continue over parts of the Dhofar Governorate, Al-Hajar Mountains, and nearby areas. The Civil Aviation Authority advises the public to take precautions during thunder showers, not to cross flowing wadis, check the sea state before sailing, and follow the latest weather bulletins. The activities of the 26th Photography Week kicked off at Sultan Qaboos University. It is organized by the photography group at the Deanship of Student Affairs. The exhibition seeks to support the idea of linking the senses with each other and to create a relationship between the image and its viewers through the opening of an exhibition of more than 40 photos by more than 30 artists, in addition to presentations documenting the group's journey and presentations of the winning photos in the competition of the week. A number of Palestinians were injured today as the Israeli occupation forces stormed Jenin camp and fired guns and tear gas among the crowds of Palestinians. The clashes resulted in the injury of one Palestinian with shrapnel in the foot and the arrest of 5 other Palestinians by the occupational forces. Palestinian media confirmed that large forces of the occupation army also stormed the Al-Hadaf and Al-Jabriyat neighborhoods and deployed soldiers on the roofs of the houses they raided. This comes after the Israeli occupation forces escalated their military action in occupied Jerusalem, and dozens of settlers stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque courtyards. More than 200 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers have been released after a prisoner swap that both sides confirmed yesterday. The Russian Defense Ministry said that a negotiation process with Ukraine has resulted in the return of 106 Russian servicemen who would fly to Moscow by Russia military transport aircraft. The head of the Ukrainian president's office said that on the same day that a total of 100 Ukrainian captives, including Ukrainian army soldiers, border guards, and National Guard servicemen, were released in the latest prison swap with Russia. Since March 2022, more than 2,000 Ukrainians have been freed as a result of prisoner swap with Russia. The Philippines and United States militaries kicked off their annual joint exercises in what officials say will be the biggest ever rehearsal of the drills. More than 17,000 Filipinos and U.S. soldiers will be participating in this year's exercises, which will focus on enhancing maritime and coastal defenses, and the first time ever will hold live fire drills at sea. The war games come just after China ended 3 days of military exercises around the Taiwan Strait. The exercises have drawn criticism from China's foreign ministry, which said that the United States strengthening military deployment in the Philippines would only lead to more tensions in the region after Manila allowed Washington access to more of its bases. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called for strengthening the country's war deterrent in a more practical and offensive manner to counter what it's called move of aggression by the U.S. and South Korea. Kim made the comment at an enlarged meeting of the Central Military Commission held yesterday to discuss ongoing efforts to boost the country's war deterrent to cope with the escalating moves of the U.S. and South Korea. North Korea has been reacting angrily to a recent series of the Allies' joint military exercise, which KCNA said were intended to prepare for an all-out war and forced Pyongyang to explore powerful practical action, including military options. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq issued 3 royal decrees. Fitch Ratings amends the Sultanate of Oman's future outlook to positive and affirms the rating at BB. And a joint Omani-Saudi executive committee is formed to supervise the project of developing the integrated economic zone in Al-Bahira Governorate. With that, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night and Ramadan Mubarak.